Hello, everyone. I've just realised, I've just come out of the gym. Sorry, I'm leaking everywhere. That can't be a very nice look. I wanted to do a quick, live update simply because I haven't got an opportunity to put a video up at the moment. I've got one on the go. It's nearly edited. It's just Christmas, New Year, and now we're hitting some birthdays. I just haven't had a chance to upload it properly. As I say, it's nearly edited. I want to try and add a map to it because it's the video that's going to go live will be one about a journey that I did, and I want to put a map on it that moves and does stuff. You know me, I like to try and make things as difficult as possible to try and make them a little bit interesting. But so that's the plan at the moment. I'm nearly done with it, but I'm out again tonight for a birthday, and time was going on, and I thought. A couple of reasons I just wanted to put a video up was, first of all, I've got a new phone. I wanted to try it out. Seems to work all right. That's good news. I have no idea what it is. It's one of these new Apple ones. It's why did they stop numbering them? They're all X something now. I don't even know which one I've got, but it's quite nice. It works, and clearly it works on this, which is good. The other reason was I did I did a trip from where I live, which is on the Dorset-Hampshire border. So if you look at a map of England, you'll see the New Forest, and you'll see just on the west end of the New Forest a little town called Ringwood. We don't live a million miles from there, so I went from there, and we've travelled across Dorset into Devon. And now, if you look at Devon, so look at sort of the west. Sort of southwest tip of the country, you'll see Devon. Devon as a county. If you look at the north of Devon, you'll see Exmoor, big national park called Exmoor. We went to just the southern tip of that. We went there for New Year's Eve. We had a couple of nights there. It was lovely. But we drove my Leaf from my home across. It was about 110 miles in total. And I wanted to do a video about it, but we had so much stuff and all the kids in the car. And I've got to be honest, Christmas, New Year, it's real family time for us. We work so much during the year that I did try a little bit, but it wouldn't have made a very interesting video for you. And I just wanted to enjoy time with my family. So I'm going to tell you about that trip. That's the purpose of this little live update. So hopefully next week a proper video will go up. From there on into the new year, I've got a few ideas. I was really ahead of myself. I'm hoping that I can do something next week also to stay ahead of myself, and we can keep putting at least one video up a week, which seems to be the kind of routine I fell into. So everything's going well. But and Happy New Year to you all. I should have started with that, shouldn't I? So first time I've seen you this year, so hopefully you all had a good Christmas and New Year. So this journey, right, so we started, as I said, near that little town called Ringwood. It was 110 miles, could have done it easily. For those of you who don't know, I have a 24 kilowatt hour Nissan Leaf that I now own. Hooray! If you missed the last video, I sounds a little bit metallic. It might be because I'm sat in my car. I don't know what else I can do to make it any better. It's just on my phone. I'm sorry about that. Try and bear with me. I won't do many of these. This is just a one-off. Anyway, so 110 miles. I own my car. Hurrah! That's the end of the PCP. I bought it outright. Watch one of the previous videos. It will tell you my reasonings why. But I'm very happy, and I now have this Leaf, and the plan is at some point to replace my petrol car with another electric car, which would be great. But looking at the prices at the moment, I don't think that's going to be happening anytime soon. So 110 miles in this Leaf. I could have done it with one stop quite happily. Now the problem is with charges the way they are and the infrastructure and where things are set up, there's never one in the middle. There's never one where you want it to be. So the trip going there was broken into from my home. I had a choice really. I could have gone sort of South Dorset or North Dorset. If I'd gone North Dorset, it would have taken me through a place called Wincanton. It's about 35 miles from where I live. They've got a Nissan dealership that's got a rapid charger. Unfortunately, I was going on a Sunday and we weren't going to make it in time, so it was going to be shut, which is a real shame because it would have been a free charge. So I had to go the southern route. It put about 4 or 5 miles on my journey, so it wasn't worth worrying about. That was a Charge Your Car charger through the Polar network, which I've got, and think you pay a connection fee and then you pay an amount of what you get. So it's not the cheapest, but actually it's not very expensive, and I use it quite a lot. So that was in a town called Dorchester, which, for those of you interested, is the county town of Dorset, where I live. Not Dorchester, I live in Dorset. So we stopped there. We had a very quick charge. It would have been quicker if the girls hadn't wandered off into town and started shopping, despite the fact that they didn't want to stop and they wanted to get there. Hey ho, their prerogative, I suppose. We then carried on the journey from Dorchester up to Yeovil, across to Taunton, onto the M5, southbound on the M5, and the first services, it's not a very long stretch left of the M5 if you're going southbound from Taunton. The first services, we stopped out there and we got another quick charge, and that saw us then through to where we were going. I'd already spoken to the lady, and actually I'll put a link to the cottage that we stayed at. It wasn't Airbnb, but it was a similar online site that I booked it through. I phoned the lady first and said, look, I'm coming with an electric car, expecting to have that kind of, it's all right, it plugs into a normal plug, I'll pay you for the electric, etc. Oh, hello from Holland. But it wasn't at all. It was brilliant. The lady, as soon as I said I've got a Nissan Leaf, would it be all right to plug in? She said, yeah, there's several interesting museums in Dorchester. I think there's a teddy bear one, a dinosaur one, and the Tutankhamun one. There's all sorts there. It's a lovely place. Go and visit it. Yeah, she said, yeah, that's no problem. I get loads of people coming with electric cars. Just plug in. When you pull up, there's a concrete hard standing area right outside the kitchen window. Just run your lead through the window. She wasn't phased by it at all. It was brilliant. So I will put the link to that in the description. So if ever you're visiting Exmoor and you want somewhere to go, it was lovely. It was so rural. It was on a farm, a working farm. There was dogs everywhere, chickens everywhere. She gave us fresh eggs in the morning. It was so nice. I'd highly recommend it. Anyway, yeah, so we charged up there, and then we went out and about during the day. And again, it was great. Our friends that were with us, they had their diesel car. They went backwards and forwards in that. Of course, if you know Exmoor, getting on and off Exmoor, it's tiny, twisty roads. They're very, very hilly. And I was a little bit worried whether we were going to make our destination or not, where we were going. So I had a charge stop built into our day out. But as it was, I think we did over 30 miles that day. No, we didn't. We did a lot more than that. We did. That's right. We did just over 60 miles that day. It was 30 there, 30 back, and a bit of driving in between. And because it was up and down, because we were going quite slowly, and I was getting loads of regen, I had loads of charge left when I got back. So we didn't even have to go out of our way to charge up. And we saw loads of Exmoor. We had a lovely day out. At no point did the charge worry me. Once we got going, I realised it wasn't going to be a problem. Will you be using the heating, freezing in Reading? Yeah, I always have the heating on. In fact, I'll come to our journey home in a minute because it did go off for a little bit of that. But yeah, all the way there, all the way back, the whole time we were there, yeah, it was bitterly cold. So with lots of heating on. In fact, I'm looking now, it's -2 here. I've got my heated seat on and the steering wheel, which is why I keep touching it. So yeah, so the day out was brilliant. And then we had our New Year's Eve, which was lovely. And then we drove home New Year's Day. And it wasn't until the afternoon. And again, we had that choice of where to stop. It was looking like it was going to have to be 2 stops. So we went back to that M5 service station just outside Taunton to get our first charge, with a plan to then drop down to Dorchester to get the second and then come home. When we got to that service station, because I'd already been on the motorway and I looked at the guessometer, I could see that actually I was more or less in range to get all the way home off one charge. Now, from there, I think it was 81 miles home. Might have been a bit more than that, but it was 80 something miles home. So those of you that have got these cars, you'll know that for this size battery in this kind of weather, that's pushing it, especially if you're looking at motorway speed. So I charged it up to 92% on the rapid because, let's be honest, there's no point in sitting there much longer than that. By the time we'd done what we wanted to do, it was on 92%. It then trickle charges. It's so slow, it's just not worth sitting there. But it was showing that I had over 90 miles on the guessometer, which, yeah, there was lots of squeaky bottoms. I thought, do you know what? Let's just go for it. I had one backup plan. There was a supermarket about, I think it was 20 miles away from home, 20 to 30 miles away from home, that had a 6.7 kilowatt post, which would charge mine at 3.3. So 6.6 kilowatt post, mine charges at 3.3 maximum. So I thought, worst case scenario, we can go in there, we can nip into the supermarket, get the milk and stuff we probably needed for when we got home. And if we had to sit there for half an hour and it just gave us enough to get home, then we'd do it. So I set off back onto the motorway. So 92% charge. It was showing 90 miles of range. I sat at 65 mile an hour on the motorway initially. Now, I don't hypermill. No, people talk about it, and it does. There's no doubt about it. It saves you a lot of energy. I hate doing it. I think I've done it once when I was about to hit turtle mode. It's, apart from anything else, do you know what? It's against the law. You can't get that close to a car in front, or a van or a lorry in front. It's just dangerous. Don't do it. I refuse to do it. So I didn't hypermill. I sat at 65 mile an hour. I used cruise control. It does suck a little bit more energy, but it just meant that I sat nicely at that speed. When I came off the motorway onto the dual carriageways, I dropped it down to 60, and then, depending on traffic and bits and pieces, it was sort of between 55 and 65. I was traveling then for most of the rest of the fast part of the journey, if you like. I then hit a place called Gillingham, which is effectively rural Dorset, and it's all rural then back home. So if you know the county, or if you look at a map and look at, I think it's actually called Zigzag Hill in Dorset. It's a series of hairpins that go up a hill. It's really steep. And I knew that would be the make or break time. And I said to Sarah, look, I think we're going to be in deficit when we get there. Till that point, the gasometer was showing between me having 15 miles to spare and about 5 miles to spare, depending on the terrain and my speed. I said, if we get to the top of that hill and we're still okay, we'll be all right. If not, we're going to have to stop. I got to the top of the hill, and it was showing that I had 2 miles more than I needed to get home. So at that point, I knew it was going to be all right. And it's although it's rural, they're nice rolling roads, so it was fine. And drove all the way home, kept going, and eventually ended up at home with the gasometer showing dashes and my percentage showing 8% left. So there you go, over 80 miles on one charge on motorways, dual carriageways, cross country. Okay, I wasn't doing what I normally do, and I've got to be honest, it was a bit boring. Sat at 60, 65 mile an hour. I normally go over at 70 mile an hour because that's the speed limit, and if you can do it, why not do it? And I don't like to drive this car any differently to a petrol car. That's not the point. For me, it's a car. It should do what cars do. But what it saves me, when we worked it out, had we have dropped down to Dorchester and got another charge and then driven home, it saved me 20 minutes. So not amazing, but it's 20 minutes saved. And not affected by Rapidgate. No, these have no issues with Rapidgate. Morning, Happy New Year to you too. These batteries charge up, no problem at all. No Rapidgate issues. That said, had I had the new Leaf, do you know what? It wouldn't have been an issue because it goes that much further. Rapidgate wouldn't have kicked in. I wouldn't have had a problem with it. It's only when you start doing more than 2 rapid charges and you're pushing on and you let the battery run right down, that's when you have the issues. So I wouldn't let that bother me too much, albeit I'm still a bit upset with Nissan about it. Hey ho. So that was the journey, and it worked. As far as I'm concerned, that was the icing on the cake for me deciding to buy this car. Of course, I've had it for 3.5 years. I know what it can do, but I probably pushed it more there than I have before. Sensibly, I did the Manchester trip, and if you've seen that, you'll see I'll never be doing a long journey with my wife in the car again. She wasn't impressed at all, but that was pushing it. This car isn't designed to do nearly 300 miles in a day. It can do it, of course it can, but you have to accept you've got to drive a bit slower, you've got to do extra stops. It's going to put time on your journey, but 100, 110 miles, I didn't see that as an issue at all. And had the chargers been better spaced, it would have been so much better because I could have just factored in one charge right in the middle, and it wouldn't have been a problem whatsoever. But because the chargers are in the wrong place, I think from here to Dorchester, it's about 30 miles. From Dorchester to the charger at Taunton, it was 40, 45 miles. And then similar again, it was about 40 miles from the rapid charger onto where we were staying. So it didn't break it up very well for me. So we need more chargers in more places, and it would make life easier. So there you go. Hopefully that has filled in a little gap for you, because I know those videos about journeys are what people keep asking me for. And so well done. I find 24 Leaf gets great economy on A roads, 50 to 60. Love our Leaf for daily use, especially love doing longer journeys. Yeah, it doesn't cause a problem at all. I keep seeing flashing up Rapidgate fixed. And this sound worked out. Oh, the Nissan app is a pain in the backside. Don't ever expect it to work. Yeah, Rapidgate, there are ways around it. You can make it work. The time it causes you a problem is when you drive fast, you let it run down by under 20%, and you do multiple rapid charges in a day. If you don't do any of that, it works perfectly. There's no issues with it. I don't think it's 15 and 64-hour battery not cold. Yeah. So that's how you make it work anyway. I can't remember what I was talking about now. So anyway, yeah, that's it for now. That's my little update for you. Oh yeah, people keep asking me to record journeys. That's what I was talking about. So I wanted to do it, I just couldn't. So there is one coming up, and it was about a day that I had out going to various towns or cities throughout the day, school drop-offs. Really, it was like a normal everyday day out, but kind of an extreme one, if you like, to show that even with these little batteries, you shouldn't have a problem. And it's talking about how much more convenient it is having an electric car, and how you shouldn't have to worry about going out your way to make it work. That's to come soon. I'm hoping within the week. It will be within the week. There's no doubt about it. But I've now got to head home. It's more birthday celebrations for one of my family, and I think we're off to this afternoon. You've probably heard of the gym place, Bombay Sapphire. They're not far from where we live. We've never been to visit the distillery, and they happen to have a cocktail making class on. So there is a hotel booked, and I think we're going to have a good evening. So all the best for the new year. I will see you very soon. Thank you for bearing with me over the new year period. You take care. All the best. I'm going to try and work out how to turn this off. Cheerio.